I've been going to Mongolia for about 10 years, and I met Amra. After a few years going back and forth, I met Amra, and he wanted to do a project with Japan. Previously, he had done something for Netflix called Marco Polo, and he had a pretty big role, and he really wanted to do something with Japan. So we started talking about that, and he had this idea, the story idea that I ended up making into an auteur film, you know, because in Mongolia they don't really have auteur films, and so I ended up writing this script, auteur style. It was in like 3 weeks in minus 40 degrees, and it was cold outside. What else? Yeah, I have a very intense personal relationship with Mongolia, and as you can see, this is sort of a love letter in some ways. It's a country and culture that's affected me very strongly.
Thank you. And Yagira-san, what drew you to the role of Takeshi?
そうですね。やっぱりこうロードムービーっていうのが僕初めてだったので、しかもそれはモンゴルっていう、行ったことないし、こういう機会じゃないといけないよなっていうやっぱ国なイメージだったんで、とても貴重な機会をやっぱ健太郎さんにいただいたなって思いますし、やっぱ行けて本当に良かったなっていうとても素晴らしい経験になりました。
So, this is a road movie as you saw, and Mongolia is a country where unless you have a chance to visit like this, then you would never go. So, I'm really honored that director Kentaro invited me to join this film, and I am really glad that I have a chance to go to Mongolia.
いけないよね。
あんまりです、あんまり。
いや、本当に。
とても貴重な、はい。
This country, I mean, it's nothing like any other Asian country. I don't know who's been to Mongolia here. Anybody? Really? Did it look like that? Yeah, right. Yeah, it's really. I mean, a little bit bigger than life, but it's really an amazing country like no other Asian country I've been to.
And because of the language barrier of a lot of the characters on screen, so much of the story plays out through kind of a tightly choreographed movement of characters rather than dialogue. I think it's somewhat reminiscent of early cinema. The reference to Laurel and Hardy in the credits is not lost on me. So I'm curious about how kind of the improvisational acting style, some of the physical humor was developed. You as director Kentaro-san, as well as with your co-actors, Yagira-san.
You want me to answer that? Yeah.
Both of you,
yeah,
please.
No, of course. Making this film, I was like wondering what it is to make a cinema film today. Today I said this in other interviews, but we're so formatted by this kind of streaming format, and it becomes a normal format. And we forgot what cinema is, I think. And I was kind of I really wanted to make a cinema film, and me and my director of photography, Ivan Kovac, we decided to try to make a film that looked like Lawrence of Arabia. Of course, Lawrence of Arabia is, but yeah, that was the intent. We did shoot it on 8K, which is a crazy thing to do. I would never do that again. Because 8K means you have to compress it to put it in the machine, right? And it takes 4 times more time. So it's a crazy thing to do. So because we didn't have much space in our hard drives and everything, we really shot it like it was 70 millimeters. We were very carefully, because if we shot it for too long, it would be, the hard drives would be full right away. So we'd be very carefully shot, like it was on film. You know, and plus we were like 12 hours away by truck from any place. So it's like, oh, I forgot I have to get another hard drive. How do you do that in the middle of nowhere? Yeah, I forgot something. You know. So my charger. No, it's great. But luckily, we were able to work with local Mongolian crew who knew everything. They just, they know what to do, what to bring, what not to bring. You're there with all your stuff and you don't need it. And that was really lucky. A real co-production is about working with people locally and people who know. It's not going to a foreign country with the whole crew. And I think that was an amazing experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Yuya, Yuya, he's such a sport, there was that, that scene where he's in the lake. He goes into the lake after the birth scene. He goes into the lake and he's up to here in the water. And it's freezing cold. It's freezing cold. And of course, I'm just shooting from the outside, but I felt so guilty. So what I did is I rolled up my pants and I went in with him. So do you remember? I went in with him and we're like, and this is solidarity. You work with people like this, you become kind of like war friends, So the whole shooting of the film was a road movie in itself, and I did it on purpose not to do a making of, because I didn't want any of the actors to be conscious of another kind of filming. And I think that kind of magic is really important. This kind of exclusivity, you had to be there to know, and that's how we shot the film. Making of なかったね。ね、あれ良くなかったそれ。So.
I think along those lines, I'm curious, Yagira-san, about your experience with horse riding prior to this film, as well as part of the production.
そう、やっぱりこう馬に乗るのがうまいんですよね。アムラは。それでなんで何と思ってるのかって聞いたら、何と思ってるのか聞いたら、やっぱ200頭とかいうから、やっぱ常にこう生活の中にいる人と一緒に馬がね乗るの上手い人と入れてちょっと勉強になりました。
Amra has about 200 horses, and that's why he's so good at riding horses. And working with him, who is familiar with horses like him, I learned a lot from him.
By the way, that scene in the beginning where he takes the white horse, that was the first time he met the horse. And he just took it by the face like this, and this connection that he has with the animal is just amazing. And one thing I learned how to ride a horse in Mongolia, but you have to have a connection with the animal. It's not a vehicle. You can't just ride it. You have to have a connection with the animal before it lets you ride it. And that's a completely different level of transportation.
Great. So his screen presence passes on to animals as well. Yeah.
Did you like the animals in the film? I love shooting animals. Because they're so funny. You realize that you don't understand. You realize that they're almost human. When you change the speed of how they move, you almost get their relationship with each other. And I thought that was so interesting. And you know, the Mongolians never understood. Why KENTARO? Why is he filming these animals? You know, that's an everyday thing for him. For me, it was very, you know, new. I'm a city person, so you know, it seems, wow, look at a goat. Filming a goat. Look at that goat.
So let's take some questions from the audience now. So we have microphones on either side of our seats here. Already a few hands up
Yes.
here in the fifth row. Yeah.
This gentleman, very fashionable gentleman.
Amazing movie. Nice to meet you two here tonight. It's such an honor. My question is, do you see it as more foreign movie for Japanese people or a Japanese movie for foreigners? Like, I had this question since the beginning of the movie. I watch a lot of Japanese movie. I study Japanese as language. At the beginning, when you were in the city, I thought it was more like a Japanese movie, but toward the end, it was like more about the nature, like wild sense of humor. For 1 second, I thought it was not a Japanese movie at all. So.
That's a great question. Wow. I'm not Japanese. It's a question. It's the same thing. I don't know, but I can just say that it's really important to find like a universal thing. I was talking about this before. Something that's I was talking about before at the interview. You know, when like a American film shows in Japan, you know, and it's like this African American, you know, comedy. In Japan, they don't get it sometimes. They don't laugh at the right places, and it's because they don't have the references, you know. And I think it was really, this is kind of a test, like an attempt to get this universal thing, is what's universally funny, what's universally touching, what's universally, dramatic, and there is something like that, you know. And also, like, you know, there's almost no dialogue, you know, and you realize when you work with great actors, acting is a language in itself that's without words. And you discover with great, you know, talents like Yuya, and did you see the quality of the Mongolian actors? I mean, you realize you get that kind of quality, you don't need to speak. Like Sarantuya Sambo, who played Sama, you know, she doesn't speak a word of English. She doesn't speak, you know, Japanese, of course, and she just got it from the situation. Sarantuya, and that was. I want you to talk about that. Yeah. Yeah, それを好き。
だけど
彼女に日本語したかった。
そうだけどこうつながる
Yes, that's what. Talk about that. Yuya, go, Yuya.
Yeah.
I'm sure we have much more questions too, including for Yagira-san.
Talk about that. なんかどう
だけどやっぱりそのまあ国籍も違うし、まあ、言語もこう通じない環境の中でもやっぱこう演じるっていうことでのコミュニケーションの仕方っていうのはあるんだなっていうふうに感じました。まあそこをやっぱ監督はもうなんだろう確信があってちゃんとそこを信じてるっていうやっぱ監督のもとでそれがまあ実現したんだなっていうふうに感じたし、とても貴重な経験でした。
So yes, obviously we didn't share the language or the nationality, and we had to do a scene together. But the director believed that, you know, there is a communication beyond words, and to be able to act under his direction made that scene possible. So I'm really grateful that rare opportunity.
Yeah, so more questions. Yeah, we got a hand over here.
So,
Can wait for the microphone. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
really appreciate your love letter comment. The theme music had so much reminding me of the In the Mood for Love for Wong Kar-wai and Yumiji's theme. Was there any connection, or did you feel even the way the bits were, it was very, that it's all about love?
The way the what's
You know, the pace of the theme music
right.
had a lot like the In the Mood for Love, where
Interesting.
there was a Yumeji's theme, you know, this is Kobayashi's music, very nice.
Mebayashi, yeah, yeah. I was no, I wasn't conscious of that, but that's a really good comment. Yeah, yeah, this kind of waltz kind of rhythm does add to this whole love theme. Yeah, Lulu actually this wasn't originally made for the film. Lulu had composed this. Lulu Gainsbourg. I don't know if you know who he is. Lulu Gainsbourg is very talented, amazing, sensitive, and pure-souled son of Serge Gainsbourg, who is a music legend in France. And he had already this theme, and as I wanted everything to be with chords, chord instruments. He had originally composed it for piano, and so he said, no, I have an idea. I'm gonna go re-record it, and he recorded it beautifully with guitar and cello, and those are two very emotional instruments, I think. Are you a musician yourself?
No.
Well, you got it. Yeah, and I think especially like cello, there's something very emotional about it, and it works. But no, that reference is interesting, but no, it wasn't done consciously.
Well, what about the references to opera?
Well, yes.
Western opera.
Oh, you want me to explain the Verdi? I wanted to be something classical, something that we couldn't age, basically. So I took, and there's something light about Italian opera, I think, and which is something I love, And that also I recorded with chord instruments, in that case it was with guitar and contrabass, and you can hear it, and it works really nice. So later on, I don't know if you've noticed the O Sole Mio homage, right? Also Italian, right? So I kind of want to make it all make sense in that way. So it's not just random, no.
We have time for one more question.
Only one? I want to hear what
Before we begin the party in which we can get together, I see a hand that's been very patient up here.
Yes.
Yeah, 4 people in.
I want to hear more questions. Talking too much.
Hi, so my question is, when you have so many actors in different nationality languages, how did you prepare the script so that all the actors have this, same information? Did the one script has different languages in it, or people had, their own language in the script, or?
I made it so no dialogue was written.
Oh.
Yeah, already. And it was just a storyline. All the scenes were written in English and in Japanese and in Mongolian.
Wow.
Yeah. And then, you get the idea. And then most of the dialogue was created during rehearsal on the set. And sometimes it was just shot and we wanted to see what it's like.
Well, it was such a beautiful movie. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And maybe time for one more question
Oh, wait,
for
this guy over
Yagira-san.
there is like, he's got his hand up.
Thanks for the help.
No, I saw you, man. I saw you.
Do you have any stories about your experiences in World War II? Because you mentioned the Mongolian side. Do you have any stories about that and Japan's relationship to Mongolia in regards to World War II?
Well, I didn't live it. But yeah, I mean, in Mongolia, it's very well known that the Japanese soldiers were there. In Japan, it's really funny because a lot of Japanese people don't know that there were prisoners of war in Mongolia. They know about the Siberian prisoners of war. They all died. They were really poorly treated. They all freeze to death. But it's in history that some of the soldiers were Mongolian and in this area of Buryat, and there's documented cases of soldiers wanting that stayed after the war and had kids with the local women. Yeah, it's an interesting story. So I mean, from that fact, we developed this story about this Japanese soldier who ended up having a child with a local Mongolian woman, and of course it's as it's a love story, it's bigger than life, and it's difficult to kind of play on that edge, little line between something that's too melodramatic and something that should be seen sincerely. That's a difficult line, it quickly turns into a telenovela. So it's like, is that Beto the father?
Before we wrap, do we have one final question for Yagira-san? I want to hear his voice a bit more, right here on the corner.
For Yagira-san, what was the biggest difference between a Japanese film set and a Mongolian film set? What did you enjoy? What did you dislike?
やっぱ馬に乗る回数が多いっていうことですかね。
The biggest difference is how many times I could ride on horses.
ケンタロウさんは馬に乗れるんですよ。やっぱり普段も俳優さんもやられていたし、うまいんですよ。本当に。
The director Kentaro can ride horses and he's good at it.
そうだから崖に登るのとかも一回ケンタロウさんがこういう感じでっていう風にちょっと見せてくれたりとか。だけどそういうあとアムラもそうだし、乗れる人が多かったからちゃんとレクチャーしてもらえたのはありがたかったです。
So the going on the cliff scene, he would demonstrate it how I should do it. Amra also because he's good at doing it. So there are many instructors, if you will, that would teach me how to properly do it. So I was fortunate enough to have many good instructors.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much.